and welcome to Adelante Chicago. I'm Lourdes Duarte. Thank you so much for joining us today. Bienvenidos. Let's begin with the hope of a plan to address the needs in the immigrant community facing challenges in healthcare and housing. Recently, a series of stories portrayed the crisis that undocumented seniors could soon be facing in Illinois and around the country. Joining us now to explain are the reporters who worked on the investigation, Carlos Ballesteros and Laura Rodriguez Presa. Welcome to the both of you. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Okay, you've done a phenomenal job on this series, and I'm proud to have you guys both here to talk about it. I want to begin with how you learned that this is an issue, not just here in Illinois, but across the country. So what happened in your life or in your communities that you thought, we got to do something about this?
Yeah, so I've been covering the Spanish-speaking, specifically undocumented community for a long time. My goal as an immigrant myself was to really show and portray the stories that our families were going through that just weren't being touched anywhere. So while reporting, I noticed that there were a lot of struggles that were going on in our community by elders, and not everyone was talking about it. We realized it was a much bigger issue when Rob, which Carlos can talk about more, had this study going on. And so we just needed that study to solidify this idea of what really was going on already, right? We didn't need it, but in order to really create this and have those numbers to back our claims, we needed that.
So you had the data then to sort of tell the bigger picture of what's happening, not just in Chicago, in Illinois, across the country. How about for you? Because you're really oftentimes right there in the community talking to people day in, day out. What were the stories that you were hearing, Carlos?
Yeah, the same. You know, I think the immigrant community is aging just like the rest of the country, and that's become incredibly apparent in a city like Chicago, where the immigration waves that really defined the city from the 80s and 90s and 2000s have slowed to a trickle. And so you begin to notice this aging in the community that is incredibly apparent. And along with that, then it stands to reason that the undocumented community would also start to age, especially since there hasn't been immigration reform for almost 40 years. And so people that showed up to this country in their working age in the 80s and 90s are now in their 50s and 60s and still have not been able to legalize their status.
Okay, and in the meantime, as they are aging, they are facing those issues like health care. In many cases, because they're undocumented, they may not have that safety net of dollars and funds to be able to get them through old age. Is that what you were finding?
Definitely.
So what we found too, everyone has a very different story as to why they haven't been able to save, why they couldn't go back to Mexico, why they don't have a plan, right? And it's very specific to each family. But what's general about this is that the senior population just doesn't have a safety net. There's no benefits. They don't qualify for any of the public benefits that were created to keep senior citizens out of poverty. So since they don't have that, they are in much bigger, much deeper hole than the rest of the seniors, and also no family sometimes to care for them.
Okay, so let's take it a step further. If you've got an elderly, undocumented person who has no safety net, no public benefits, what was happening to this sector of the community if they've got nothing sort of helping them or helping them sort of get by in life once they become 60, 70 years old? What
we saw is that people just essentially don't stop working until they drop. And so there's a desperate need to continue working to earn money because they don't have any other source of income. And so that puts them in a very dangerous and precarious situations at their workplace, but also whenever inevitably they get fired because they can't continue to do the jobs that they used to do, sometimes turn to street vending or other sources of cash.
Homelessness, I know oftentimes that becomes one way that they're able to get by.
Most of the times they were living and then perhaps dying in the shadows, right?
It's sad. Okay. So you've done this 4-part series, which has gotten a lot of attention. Has it gotten the right attention to see something done about it? Like, what is a fix? What are they telling you right now?
We believe it's helping some.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of attention being paid right now in Springfield as to what the state government can do to provide support to these folks. Because unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the federal government is going to act on comprehensive immigration reform anytime soon. And so it really is up to the states and local governments to kind of weave together a social safety net that would catch these seniors in their communities. And so there are state legislators who have been advocating for greater access to programs and benefits for folks who don't have a Social Security number. Because at the moment, adults who don't have a Social Security number don't get food stamps, don't get unemployment benefits, and other services that really do protect people when they fall into poverty.
And before we finish, I would just like to add, a lot of these people paid into the system.
That's
so
right.
many of them have been or have paid taxes, right, in their younger years when they were able to work full time or were, just had better jobs than now.
Okay.
So hoping that now they're expanding the healthcare bill that was open to undocumented folks. So that's the very solid move that's going on right now.
And let me ask you this before we go, because I know we have to wrap it up. How many folks are we talking about? Because you said you looked at the data that really gives you a broader picture of how often this is happening. Are we talking about hundreds of people, thousands, tens of thousands?
So like in Illinois, it's like there was an estimated about 4,000 undocumented seniors in 2017. That'll grow to about 55,000 by the year 2030. But the state of Illinois is home to about 200,000 undocumented immigrants between the ages of 35 and 54. So unless Congress provides them with a path to citizenship, most of these folks will age in place.
No, incredible. Okay, we've got the information on how to read the articles up there on our screen. Can we put it up, guys? Again, it aired or it ran in the Chicago Tribune. I'm so used to saying aired because of TV, but it ran in the Chicago Tribune. There it is, injusticewatch.org, which is sort of this group that you guys work together with to put this.
Yeah, that's our
pieces.
newsroom. Yeah, it's a nonprofit.
That's Carlos Newsroom and then the Chicago Tribune, so they can read it in both. ChicagoTribune.com or injusticewatch.org.
Perfect, perfect. All right, thank you so much. Keep doing wonderful work, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Lourdes.
All right.